if there's a Republican president in 2016 and a vacancy occurs in the last year of the first term, you can say, Lindsey Graham said, let's let the next president, whoever it might be, make that nomination, and you could use my words against me, and you'd be absolutely right. If an opening comes in the last year of President Trump's term and the primary process is started, we'll wait to the next election. And I've got a pretty good chance of being the judiciary.
You're on the record.
Yeah.
All right.
Hold the tape.
Who among us was actually surprised that Lindsey Graham would become the hypocrite-in-chief in the looming political battle over the Supreme Court vacancy left by Justice Ginsburg's passing? Well, Graham vowed, first in 2016 and then again in 2018, as you just saw, that he would not consider a Supreme Court nominee in an election year. This time it's different, he says. He road-tested the explanation for his change of heart on Saturday, blaming Democrats for changing the confirmation process, saying Harry Reid changed Senate rules to allow for a simple majority vote, and accusing Chuck Schumer and Democrats of conspiring to destroy the life of Brett Kavanaugh and hold that Supreme Court seat open. Graham's toadying to Donald Trump in moving forward on a nominee should surprise approximately no one, given that at this point, he's much more of Trump's caddy than a leading member of a co-equal branch of government, to be honest. But the South Carolina senator's hypocrisy takes on a different significance this time because he is now the chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee. Today, he sent a letter to committee Democrats, again blaming them and trying to hide his shameful behavior under their coattails, adding, I'm certain if the shoe was on the other foot, you would do the same. Womp womp. Notably, Graham is also very much up for re-election right now. He's one of the 22 Republicans facing re-election, and he's one of Democrats' biggest targets. And it's in that atmosphere that the folks over at the Lincoln Project have partnered with the anti-Graham super PAC, Lindsey Must Go, with a new ad noting that if Lindsey wants people, voters, to use his words against him, done. I'm joined now by Jimmy Williams, South Carolina political consultant and senior advisor to the Lindsey Must Go PAC, and Stuart Stevens, senior advisor to the Lincoln Project and author of It Was All a Lie, How the Republican Party Became Donald Trump. And the polls, Jimmy, in South Carolina are tied, at least according to the latest polls, 48-48, Jamie Harris and Lindsey Graham. At this point, are there undecided voters left in South Carolina who might actually be surprised that Lindsey Graham is being hypocritical on this?
Well, there's not a single person in South Carolina that thinks that Lindsey Graham isn't being hypocritical or is shocked and bewildered by it. No, not at all. Are there undecided voters? Yes, of course. There are always some undecided voters. But let's be clear. I have tobacco farmers that live a mile from me, 1 mile from me. They've asked to get meetings with Lindsey Graham or his staff because Trump's Chinese tariffs have screwed them over. They're about to go bankrupt. They now hate Lindsey Graham. If white tobacco farmers in South Carolina don't like Lindsey Graham, man, oh man, that guy's got a problem.
And, Stuart, I think Jimmy makes the point that, sometimes it's the thing that tips people over, right? It's because at this stage, it feels like the only undecided voters are, do I vote or do I not vote, right? There don't seem to be too many people who are like, I wonder which of these two guys is for me. Like, it's pretty clear. So I wonder if something like this, where it's so blatant and where Lindsey Graham himself said, use my words against me, and now you two, or these organizations, the Lincoln Project and Lindsey Must Go, have come together and said, yeah, okay, we'll do it. Do you think that's the kind of thing that tips elections in a southern state, in a red state like South Carolina?
Well, look, Joy, I worked for 5 Republican presidential campaigns, and I'm a Jamie Harrison donor, and I hope a lot of people will join me. To me, Lindsey Graham just represents everything that's wrong with politics. Forgetting party, he's just become this sort of classic Washington Paul who doesn't stand for anything but re-election. I'm from Mississippi, not South Carolina, but I think a sense of integrity, a sense of honor, a sense that your word is your bond, still means something in the South that goes beyond party. I'll tell you how naive I am. I wrote a book that was pretty bleak about the Republican Party. I turned out to be an optimist. I really thought 48 hours ago that Lindsey Graham wouldn't do this, just because it was just too far even for him, but just shows how naive I still am about the Republican Party.
And what's the closing argument then, Jimmy? there's so many things that have happened. I mean, so many people have died of COVID. There's so much economic devastation. You just talked about the tariffs and other things. What becomes the closing argument? Does this become the closing argument? Because it looks like for Lindsey Graham, the closing argument is going to be, I stood by Trump, I stood by evangelicals. That's his closing argument.
So, look, South Carolinians, Mississippians, we just don't like to be BS'd. I'm trying to be polite here, okay, and not use profanity so that your producers don't have to scramble. But it's just that simple. People believe you when you give them their word, and then when you turn your back on them and don't even give them meetings, or you ignore them, or as we like to say down here, if you get too big for your britches, or you forget where you came from, or you forget who butters your bread. Lindsey Graham doesn't know where he came from anymore. He's not from Seneca, South Carolina. He's from 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. That's not a good address to be from these days. And so I guess most people here in South Carolina are just upset about it. And that's why we established this PAC, LindseyMustGo.com, because honestly, we're really just frustrated with the guy. And he's a flip-flop. He's worse than a flip-flopper, Joy. He's a liar. Lindsey Graham's a liar. I went to the Citadel. We have an honor code at the Citadel. Cadet does not lie, cheat, or steal, or tolerate those who do. South Carolinians, I don't think this time are going to tolerate Lindsey's lying, because since 1999, we don't know who the hell he is anymore. He doesn't even have a Southern accent anymore, for God's sakes. He's a fraud.
And Stuart, beyond Lindsey Graham, I mean, you've got, just if you look at the really competitive Southern races, not even just Southern races, like Joni Ernst in Iowa, but you've also got Tom Tillis. You've also got John Cornyn in Texas. There are all of these races. You said, you're from Mississippi. There's the Espy race, which people write that off and say no Democrat could win in Mississippi. But, he did take Cindy Hyde-Smith right to the mat, right to the end in that special election before, in that runoff. And you think about some of these races, the Georgia races, where Kelly Loeffler has this just wild ad out now with Attila the Hun in it. Are there more than one vulnerable Southern Republicans in this environment where they're chasing after evangelicals with this Supreme Court seat, but where they're just blatantly lying about what they've said, what they promised that they would do?
Yeah, in the previous segment, Michael Pitt was saying that he thinks that conservative judges is what holds this coalition together for Trump. I have to disagree with that. I think conservative judges have become an excuse for people to say that they're for Donald Trump. Most of those people are white. And I think really ultimately it's more about race than it is about conservatism. Ask most people, okay, you think conservative judges, tell me what your favorite, most important 5 last Supreme Court decisions are. Most people can't get past one. It's just a thing that they've decided it's socially acceptable to say this, because it's better that than to say, I'd really like to hold on to like some powerful white guy who's going to be like me and try to protect my interests. Listen, I think Espy could win. Look, Donald Trump is president of the United States. Anything is possible. I think this is very bad politics for Trump. I think the best move for Trump would be to say, look, 2016, this is what we said. I'm not a king. Let the people decide. And then he could have put the Supreme Court nomination on the ballot, and he would have been a lot better served than running with Mike Pence.
Yeah. Very good points. 2 experts in Southern politics, Jimmy Williams, Stuart Stevens. Thank you both very much. Really appreciate your time. And still ahead, as a